Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll take the dog, Commissioner. Good morning. Welcome to the February 22nd meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Commissioner Kukowski will have the dog today.
Yeah. Come on, Dave. Come here. Baby, sit. Sit. Good boy. Hi, everybody. Today we have a lab mix, about 8 years old, very friendly, very smart. I wonder if he'll lay. Lay. Oh, boy. See? Can always teach an old dog new tricks, right? Up. Good boy. Makes somebody a very nice pet. Somebody needs to take this one home. Very sweet. I noticed that on our when we have our show on Saturday, that it's saying that the dog licenses are due January 1st. I just wanted to remind everybody that there is an extension until April 1st. So come down to our Lorain County Dog Kennel and pick out a pet for you and your family. Thanks.
Our quote for today: to gain that which is worth having, it may be necessary to lose everything else.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I missed it. That's okay.
You missed it?
I missed it.
No, lucky you.
Well, read it again. It's worth repeating.
Teresa?
Guess
Fine.
not.
Fine.
The first presentation is Robin Jones, Director of 911 on the wireless Phase 1.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robin.
I'm going to play a clip of a 911 call taken by one of our 911 dispatchers before I start. If I can get it to work.
911, do you need police, fire, or ambulance? Hello? Hello? May I help you? Excuse me, ma'am? You need the ambulance? Your chest hurts? Okay, ma'am? Ma'am? Where are you located at? I can barely understand you, ma'am. Ma'am? Okay, ma'am, I can barely understand you. Hello? Where do you need it at, ma'am? The ambulance. Ma'am? Hello?
This call was a female requesting an ambulance. Her speech was incoherent and proved very difficult for the dispatcher to determine not only what she was requesting, but more importantly, where she was located. She had dialed 911 from her wireless cell phone. At the present time, Lorain County 911 is completely wireless Phase 1. Wireless Phase 1 provides the dispatcher with a cell tower location as well as the caller's wireless phone number and also the company, the wireless company. Because of this technology, the 911 dispatcher was able to trace the caller's phone number and through her wireless phone company, obtain her address, making it possible to send help. At the present time, Lorain County 911 has requested Phase 2 wireless, which will give us not only the information from Phase 1, but it will also give the dispatcher the approximate location of the caller using XY coordinations. At the end of 2006, 50 to 60% of our call volume is wireless. The state of Ohio passed House Bill 361, which allows a wireless company to add 32 cents charge for every cell phone bill, lasting for a period of 3 years. And this started in August of 2005. In turn, this money is being collected and used to implement both Phase 1 and Phase 2 for Lorain County. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
I got it out.
You did fine.
Good job.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
You're getting better, Robin. Commissioners, I wanted Robin Jones to come and just give you an update on how we're making out and progressing with this. So I think it's important for the public to understand that.
Because they are being charged 30-some cents. Is that an ongoing, or is that just a temporary charge on the wireless bills for these upgrades?
The 32 cents was passed by the state of Ohio in August of 2005. It does have a sunset clause, which is 3 years. So at 3 years it will end, but it does allow us to go ahead and implement Phase 1 and Phase 2 and get that equipment needed that we would use for this.
Now, we've done our draw and we received our funding from the pool.
At this point, we have drawn about $770,000.
And then we have the XY coordinates, and in the near future, we're going to have a Z coordinate to tell the height of the caller.
Well, right now, the Z coordinate is actually called Phase 3, and there's not really too much talk about it because we
We're not
start
going
at
to be
Phase
mandated
1.
to do that.
Not yet, but I'm sure it's down the road. We do have the capability of doing that, or we will have. So hopefully that will take place at some point too. But as it stands right now, just getting the XY coordinates, whether you're high or low, would be a tremendous help to our dispatchers. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks.
Next is Tom Ferguson, Lorain County Transit Service Reduction Plan.
Okay, thank you. This talk will be about the service reduction plan that we have for Lorain County Transit. And by means of an introduction, let me just say that from 2000 to 2006, the commissioners have generously provided $8.82 million of financial support to Lorain County Transit. We understand, and everybody knows, that you've lost $3.5 million from the local government funds, and so you have to reduce some expenses. And we know that Lorain County Transit is one of the non-mandated services, and so we've had to be reduced. So our financial support will be reduced by $500,000, and so we are proposing a plan of service reductions to help offset this loss. With this plan, it's our intention not to eliminate any service. It's pretty difficult to get it back in sometimes when you do that, but to kind of reduce it or stretch the service at certain places. And we've got a $400,000 plan here where the shortfalls tend to be made up with increased revenues from advertising, from fares and things. And as we track this, if it doesn't materialize, I do have an option to, again, stretch some service and hopefully pick up any shortfalls. I'll show you a map following this, but I'll just explain. This is the plan, some of the details. Now, I'll explain the map on the next slide that will show you where it is. But these are the Monday through Friday, the days, the different routes, what we're planning on reducing. So, for instance, I take that first route. We have routes right now on what we call Route 1 and Route 51, for whatever it's worth. And we've done this before, and what we're going to do is the Route 1 will go from the Meridian Plaza to, say, the transfer point at Griswold Road, and then it switches to become Route 51, which then runs around west and north Elyria. And then it'll come back and it'll keep going like that. We've done this before, but instead of having 2 buses on there, basically we'll just have 1, and we're proposing here from, say, noon till 5. So that's like 5 hours of no service with 1 bus, so we save 1 bus for 5 hours. And then we go through the rest of the items like this. The routes 3 and 21, we already have 2 buses running all day long, different directions, and we're going to reduce that to 1 bus at these different times. And then this is all fixed route service. Then the dial-a-ride system we're going to reduce by, like about a bus and a half, or vehicle and a half. They're not always buses, but a vehicle and a half. And as you can see, the cumulative effect over there, since we intend to start this May 1st, we have a factor there, and cumulative at the bottom here, this is a $404,000 reduction in service. This is the fixed route system, and I don't know how clear it is, but just illustrative purposes, I don't have a pointer or anything to show you. No, I don't think so. There's no way to show you on
I don't
here.
have a Madden pencil there, no.
You're not, you should have prepared ahead for that. We do have a Madden pencil, but you have to be programmed up to use it, so it's a little
okay.
late, so.
All right, well then.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, that's right. Modern technology. So this won't help you, but basically Route 1 runs through Lorain, goes through Central and South Lorain, and then Route 51 covers the west and northwest of Elyria. The Route 3 is the purple line, and it goes off through Lorain, Sheffield Lake, and then down to Community College and back to the transfer point. 21 is the one down at the bottom by that yellow arrow, but it goes down between Elyria, Oberlin, and Wellington. So 41 and 42 on the left-hand side of the upper part of the screen is the green and dark green, and then there's like a lighter green. So it's like western Lorain. And those are the areas that are affected by this, plus the dial-a-ride then is countywide. The effect that this will have basically on the riders is that there'll be like a 1-hour inconvenience on some of these routes that have been changed here. And then there'll be less weekday service for the dial-a-ride people. But we thought that was better than trying to eliminate any kind of service, even at either end of the spectrum, the late runs or the early runs. We just thought we'd try to stretch it a little bit first. The timeline that we're planning to do all this is to, right now, if everything works, we'd have public notices February 26th, March 7th. We'd have the public hearings March 26th and 7th. We have to do all this because the FTA regulations require these. March 29th, we'd have the summary of these hearings to the commissioners. Commissioners would approve a reduction plan by April 5th. From 6th to the 20th, we'll print these systems maps that we have. And the intent right now would be print about 10,000 of them, and we distribute them everywhere, different places, plus the fair and everywhere like that. It's our main brochure piece. It's got that map that we showed you, plus it's got all the schedules for every route. So we would have to do that. And then for 21st to the 30th, we'll distribute those to the various places, as well as put flyers on the buses to alert people to these changes, and then implement it May 1st.
Comments, commissioners?
Sounds like we have a plan.
I need to let you know that this is going to affect the whole transit system. We didn't go by jurisdiction. I know that the board wanted us to meet with some of the municipalities and discuss possible partnerships for collaborative funding of transit, and I think we need to get that underway in the next couple of weeks. But regardless, right now, everybody riding transit will be affected by significant delays and a reduction in overall service. We may have to go back and look at this sometime later in the year, depending on how successful we are at gaining additional partners for funding, and reduce services greater in specific areas if we're not able to achieve additional resources. And, you know, it's not going to be anything that's going to be pleasant for the rest of the year. So we'll continue to try to make the cuts when needed. And obviously, you see it's only $406,000 in cuts. So we're a bit short. We're hoping that advertising revenue comes in a little stronger, and we're going to be pushing that program, and maybe we can close the gap with the advertising revenue on the $500,000. If we're not able to close that gap significantly, we're going to have to make additional cost cuts. Probably start making those recommendations this summer.
Tom, nice job. Hate cutting any services. I mean, that's what county government's here for, to provide. We'll take a look at it when you bring back your numbers and decide at that point what we'll do with it. But
Like I say,
cutting
some of
any
these
services, a lot of our seniors and our students use that for transportation back and forth to work in school, and I think it's a needed service that our county needs to provide, especially based on our size. I don't think there's another 300,000 person county. The state of Ohio doesn't provide transit for the residents, so I hope we can find another way to deal with this shortfall, and hopefully we'll have participation from the cities who use it the most. We haven't in the past, but maybe it's about time they step up to the plate to help us out to provide these services. There are constituents in there, there's also.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree.
Will you provide a paper form of that timeline to Teresa?
Yes, I'm sorry, I have
You have it
handouts
here?
for all this presentation. I'll bring
Okay,
them right up.
thank you.
Tom, how much is it costing us to provide a dollar ride pickup?
Well, it depends on the location, but because we pay by the hour, so it kind of depends on where they're located.
Average cost? I was listening to the news last night, and there was some things on RTA had come on, and they're picking up a new service to verify the folks that are using the dollar ride over in Cuyahoga. They believe there may be a number of folks that are either ineligible or marginally eligible for the dollar ride. And the information I got was that it was $3 to ride. It cost $3 to ride to regular transit for them to do a regular pickup, and it was $45 to provide a dollar ride on average. Do we have an average cost of a pickup on the dollar ride?
No, I remember we were doing human services. Their trips were taking about a half an hour, so it was costing us about $20, $20 for a half-hour trip. So it's hard to tell where the vehicles are located, but ours are basically $5.50 for a full fare, $2.75 for, I believe, the half fares you're talking about. And we've been looking at that too, and we've been really kind of trying to crack down on, of course, we provide a little broader service than
Yeah, what I'd like to do is get an average cost of the dollar ride, not just from A to Z, but just all our dollar ride, all our rides, all inclusive, and we get an average cost of what that's costing. And then I'd like to get some information on that company that Cuyahoga is looking at, because every time we reduce route service, it's like the balloon, it pokes out the other side in the dollar ride. I think we're going to have a lot more calls for the dollar ride. And I want to make sure that we're managing the dollar ride properly so that we don't lose economics on the other side of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
So could
Okay,
you
yeah,
check
we can
on
get that cost per trip.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Ready for our next presentation?
Is Shar Davis here yet or no? I don't see her.
I don't either, so
Go to the board agenda, please.
Okay. Resolutions number 1, Job and Family Services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Sorry. Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
There are transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
There are no advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners.
Shower just walked in.
We can finish this on
Okay.
3 more. Jim?
Commissioners, I have a number of new hires at Job and Family Services, some hires at the county home, and a couple matters of bargaining unit matters that I would wish to discuss in the executive session. I know that you all want to now, unbeknownst to me, go to the State of the City address, so I will try to be short, but I do need to have a discussion on these issues in executive session, and I think we'll be about 20 or 30 minutes tops, so I'll get you out of there.
Okay, I won't be there, Jim. I
At
won't
all?
be for executive session, not at all. No, I've got to get out, so that's what I explained to you. My wife had surgery yesterday. I skipped her surgery for sales tax. I've got to go check on her after this meeting, so.
He wants to make sure he still has a wife.
Yes, so.
Good call, Ted.
Instruct clerk to advertise for a design-build project known as the Lorain County Community College Outreach Center. Notice will be published in the Chronicle on February 26th and March 5th. Mandatory walkthrough take place on March 6th at 2 p.m. and bids to be open at 2 p.m. on March 13th in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Can we?
Comment?
I would like to at this
Yeah.
time with this project, if I may. We've been working on it for about a year and a half. I want to commend our maintenance department. They've been upstairs doing all the demoing to reduce the overall cost. We anticipate the project costing in the neighborhood of about $350,000, $360,000. Our commitment is about $150,000, and the college will be picking up the cost of the technology. And we'll have another great collaboration with them, being able to offer distant learning here in the admin building, in addition to being able to bring various seminars and symposiums on economic development being right here into Lorain County. And then eventually, with a presentation you'll hear from Charlotte later on, being able to be training out of this building into a 3-county region in a collaborative effort. So it's really going great. Last year we slowed a little bit because we had a lot of different initiatives, but all the paperwork has been done and the MOUs have been going back and forth, and we should be able to do something. I want to give you a time frame. We're looking at the fall of this year to be able to start actually providing some training out of that room with the fall semester, and the project being done, the room being done sometime this summer. This is an exciting concept we're using here in Design Build. Normally we'll hire an architect, we'll hire an engineer, and then we have to go through the RFQ process, and that takes weeks and months to get through that. And then they go through and they design it, then they tell people what they want in the specs, then the people come back. Well, we're going to expedite that. And I want you to know that nobody else is doing this right now, so we're learning as we're going along. We've done some small design builds, specifically downstairs in the galley area, the new cafeteria that's being put in. But this will be the actual primes coming in, and we'll tell them what we want. It'll be in the bid specs, but a generalization, a wall, lighting, and things like that. Not to the degree that we would see in an architectural prepared package from the the engineers. So the walkthroughs are very, very important, and then they will do all the design and engineering on these changes, and they're required to get the certification from the building department. So we're going to monitor this real close, but we may be able to save quite a bit of money, and we may be able to save quite a bit of time, and we may be able to demonstrate that design build can work in the public sector. Again, I couldn't find anybody else that was using it on a bid type design build anywhere in the state of Ohio, because we were looking for some lessons learned. Not that we don't want to be pioneers, but sometimes it's a little bit better to see if somebody else has already stepped out.
How do you compare apples to apples if you don't have a bid spec?
Well, what you would do is you would tell them we need a wall, and they would have to design, we're going to be moving some walls, and they would design the wall to building standards, whatever the standards are, the build standards for the city of Elyria are. If it requires 2x6 studs or aluminum studs, we'll tell them what type of materials we want on the cladding, such as the Durasan or drywall. But we're not going to spec out the Durasan or the drywall. We'll just let them know what the finishings are, and then they'll have to get all the building requirements from the city of Elyria and design it in accordance with what will pass certification. We give them the broad-based parameters, and they'll come back. Plus, it'll be an interactive process of picking and choosing materials. Usually all we concern about are the finished materials. If the wall is in the right place, what's it going to look like when we're done? There's probably a lot of other questions, Commissioner. I don't have a lot of answers on it because we've never done it before, but I think that moving in this direction, this is not a huge project. This is what we have about, I think you don't have the cost here. I think we're anticipating the cost to be about $70,000 or $80,000 for all the construction. So it's a great test bed project. It's not so big that we can't manage it very closely, and it's not too small to get a good feel for whether these processes could work for us.
Okay.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye. You do know Shar Davis is here. We want to continue with this? or-
We've got 3 more things. You want to just finish this and go to Shara Davis?
Okay.
So you.
Let's get through this and then we'll,
Okay.
give us a few more minutes, Shara. We'll finish up before you start.
Job and Family Services, approve and enter into 4D purchase of service contracts between the following agencies effective retroactive to January 1st, 2007 through December 31st, 2007, and authorize the Director of Job and Families to execute on behalf of the Board with prosecutor's approval as to form. Under the Clerk of Courts, non-federal match is $853.14. Federal is $28,832.56 for a total of $43,685.70. Magistrate for Domestic Relations, non-federal is $155,329.68. Federal is $301,522.32 for a total of $456,852. Juvenile for Domestic, non-federal $76,842.62 with a federal match of $149,165.10 for a total of $226,007.72. The prosecutor's office has changed. I have emailed all of you. The non-federal matching would be $217,150.58. Federal match is $421,527.59 for a total of $638,678.17.
So moved.
Jim, you were supposed to do some checking on this, so obviously you did because it's back on the agenda, right?
I did, Commissioner, and Ms. Golsky was here yesterday and spoke to this issue. We did talk to the availability of resources within CSEA. They do receive approximately $400,000 a year from the state to match Title IV funding, 4D. They are using that money to leverage their money into CSEA. I can't tell you whether we should be splitting that with them, but if we do, they don't have any other money. That is pretty much, she has indicated to me, the only source of revenue coming into CSEA from the state and then from the federal government. I'm of the mind now, and this has been a good exploratory process for us to bring some light onto this whole this whole funding stream. But I'm of the mind now that we got our back against the wall with this funding. We simply don't have a choice. The mechanics of how we do it are up to the board. We can either provide the match through our departments, or we can have CSEA provide the match through CSEA, and then we'll just have to send the funding over to CSEA to match their funding. There's simply
You take
not.
it out of your left pocket, or you take it out of your right pocket?
Well, exactly, Commissioner.
Thank you.
There's simply not enough available resources, so the general fund has to supplement. When I say has to, you don't have to, but that will reduce the amount of money that CSEA has matching the federal money, so therefore we would reduce services at the CSEA. Because clearly that $400,000 is not specifically earmarked to match just the services CSEA has, but I just don't think we have any choices here.
Could I have a second?
I'll
Now,
second.
One last thing, I'm uncertain as to the prosecutors on here. I did not have any dialogue with the prosecutor's office. Did you?
They, prosecutors and Job and Family have agreed to this
Okay.
as of this morning and last night.
Did we have
And
any?
DEAC's here, so.
Do we have any idea where the prosecutors are getting the additional funding they need for this?
I'm assuming it's going to come from us. I mean, in my dialogue, we were talking, but they've been changing the numbers back and forth, so not knowing the dollars. Again, a mandate comes down, they try to save them money, rearrange their staff, and we end up paying more.
So
But I
I-
think it was made pretty clear it's a needed service there,
Right.
so.
Right.
Hmm?
Did you have anything, or, no? Okay. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Under Children's Services, authorize various additions and deletions of personnel in Children's Services to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2000 not to exceed 20,000, Shell Oil Gasoline Card not to exceed 200 for work-related items to include conferences and for such items as food, lodging, transportation, phone, gas and oil, minor vehicle maintenance, and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the engineer, provide for the issuance and sale of notes of County of Lorain, Ohio, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $965,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying costs of making permanent improvement to roads, highways, and bridges within the County of Lorain, Ohio, and cost of issuance thereof.
So moved.
Second, and I see Mr. Carney, and he's running to the microphone. He has something to say.
I quit running years ago. I wanted to take this opportunity to explain to you, this is phase 2 of our highway improvement program of the $5 million bond issue that we created together. The resolutions that were passed for the acceptance of the cooperative agreement with the City of Lorain was passed December 19th by your office and signed, and the Village of Sheffield also has a resolution and signed the October 26th of '06. Those agreements are ready to go. These two projects, you see number $965,000. First project is Tower Boulevard in the city of Lorain. That is from Falbo Avenue to Elyria Avenue. And I believe that project is in the neighborhood of, I believe, $3.5 million. The second project is the widening of Abbey Road. That would be from Route 254 in Sheffield Village south to the village limits. Generally very, very close to the entranceway to Lorain Community College. That project is in the neighborhood of $1.5 million, and that includes signalization as well as sidewalks. So we're pleased to announce that this is well on our way for phase 2. There is a phase 3, hopefully, when I have the other two cities together. But we'd appreciate the passage today so we can start these projects immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How much do we have now in the program? Lisa?
I think it's $2,370,000 was the first notice.
That was phase 1, 2,000,003, so we're adding another million, so we're up 3.3. Does that sound about right, Ken?
Exactly.
Okay, so we can anticipate about another $1.5 million worth of.
That's correct.
Did we do a bond or a band on the first one?
The band.
We did a band, so we're still rolling. We're still rolling that.
We're going to do this note issue for, a year. The next note issue will roll again in June for 9 months, and then we'll roll them both together next year.
Exactly. We're going to coalesce them, and then by that point, we're going to go to a bond.
I believe when the projects are finished.
And
we're
we'll have two other municipalities probably participating within the end of the year.
Okay, so we're just recapitalizing the interest right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Now can we go to Sharon
You
Davis?
can- That's fine.
Okay.
Shar Davis, PSI.
Good morning, Shara.
Good morning.
I'm assuming that we're not going to do PowerPoint this morning.
I think it was loaded on. I'm not sure.
I don't know who was.
That's okay.
And you and I were supposed to co-present, but why don't you just take, I'm sure you're more than capable of doing that, and just take this.
Sure.
I got copies of your slides if you want to work from them.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Have everything here. Well, as you know, I returned to Lorain County about mid-November, just a couple months ago, and one of the first things that I was told about was the wonderful, exciting news of a new educational outreach center here at the Lorain County Administration Building. And the county administrator, along with Ron Twining and others, said to me, you know, one of the things that we need to get in place is some public sector programming. So we at the Public Services Institute have scrambled over the past couple months to begin putting together some programming and actually have our first phase completely underway. As a matter of fact, we have some brochures that we can hand out to everybody. But what I wanted to do is just give you an overview of kind of what our goals and objectives are for the public sector training and development in particular. And also we're taking kind of a two-phased approach to the implementation of this. So I just wanted to run through a few of those pieces with you. In terms of the public sector offerings and the goals and objectives, one of the things that we want to do is help professionalize government. And that means, actually promoting continuous learning and skill development within the public sector. That's something that the Public Services Institute, that's kind of the foundation that we were built upon over at the college. And something that, I think that we don't take into consideration is many people don't look at government as an industry sector within our economy. And certainly, these days, government, particularly county government in most communities, has become one of the most significant employers across the entire region. So again, we wanted to put in place some programming, some training and development to help public sector workers with their own professional development, career development type work. So that was one of the goals and objectives that we put in place. A second was really to, like the Community Alliance of Lorain County, to help promote intergovernmental relations. We all know, I'm sure as commissioners, you're keenly aware of the shrinking resources within government, yet the growing and insurmountable responsibilities that are placed on all of you. This region as a whole, including Lorain County, we have people that are spreading out all over the place. It means new infrastructure, it means maintenance of old infrastructure. We're all being squeezed. Couple that with complacent citizenry, lack of support for levies and things like that. So again, we're all being squeezed, and I'm sure, again, all of you know firsthand as county commissioners. So the whole point of this is to really encourage cooperative agreements, giving people the knowledge base of how to engage in cooperative agreements. Certainly consolidation tends to be a bad word, but there are some good things happening nationally and across the region. And again, we wanted to take the opportunity to use this to share some of that information with the public sector. And the third is really to, again, promote regional information sharing. One of the things that we're doing is we're certainly, our key target and our focus is certainly Lorain County, but we're also marketing this within Cuyahoga County, Medina County, and Wayne counties. So in addition to Lorain County, we're trying to promote broadly so that we have a base of government officials that are actually sharing information. One of the things that struck me as I spent the last couple of years out tracing around the 16-county region, there's an awful lot of good things that are happening, but yet there's many good things happening right here in Lorain County, but we tend not, to share that information across government. So that's another key piece, at least of the Phase 1 programming that we're entering into. Another goal that we have is we're, of course, trying to bring some of the elected appointed officials and department administrators from other parts of the region right here into downtown Elyria. So that's another key goal that we have. Our first phase is really targeted very, very specifically on elected officials, appointed officials, department administrators, and people that are considering running for elected office. And again, you'll see in the brochures, we can hand these out. We have programming on things like regional best practices in governments. So we have a whole slew of seminars that are set up for individuals to come in and share their experiences. Successful ways to drive out costs in government. We have a few seminars, including we have a couple of individuals coming in from the recently formed Northeast Ohio Sourcing Office to share some of the experiences and the cost savings that they've witnessed through some of their efforts. We have programming on economic development strategies for the public sector. We have things on effective tools for community and organizational planning, things like the appreciative inquiry that Case Western developed. We have somebody coming in to do a 2 to 3 hour session there. We have seminars on conventional development strategies. So we have the Urban Design Center, for example, from Kent State, coming in to do a couple of seminars. And then again, for those people that are seeking office, even if that is at the level of a school district, a school board, how to launch a winning campaign. So again, we have individuals coming in that have good, solid experience with launching a winning campaign. And then we also have some more traditional seminars on effective leadership. You'll probably recall years back, the Public Services Institute had set up a newly elected officials institute under Teresa McCoy. And that was to give new officials the opportunity to take some programming on things like sunshine law or parliamentary procedures, just some basic effective leadership classes. So those are the initial offerings, again, that we have at this point, but they're geared specifically for leaders, government leaders within our community. Our next steps are to enter into a phase 2 where we're really focusing on programming for government workers at all levels. We want to start by going to workers themselves. I mean, it's real difficult to kind of pull out of the air what kind of professional development government workers at all levels may be in need of. So what we hope to do is actually do some survey work with county employees. We've also talked with Mayor Grace, who's here with me today, to go to the city of Elyria and city employees and take a look at what are their training and development needs. One of the things that Mayor Grace has told me is, for example, customer service, basic customer service orientation is something that's needed. Basic computer skills. So things of that nature. In years past, something like CDL has come up. There's no opportunity for the licensure here in Lorain County. Most people are going to the southern end of Medina County. So those are the kinds of things we'll be looking into. That will be phase 2, but we do have the phase 1 up and running. As a matter of fact, our first seminar starts next Wednesday. We'll give it a shot. I want to manage expectations a little bit. We're doing the very, very best that we can within a short time frame to get some of this programming up and running. Our staff will be starting to attend all of the city council meetings, township trustee meetings across the community, but we've got a ways to go in terms of getting the word out. The college did release a press release today. So hopefully we'll be starting to get more visibility. The brochures are actually right now just starting to hit the streets. We've had some calls coming into the office. So I'd like to just very quickly, and again, I should say that's the public sector programming. Jim probably may want to say a few words about some of the vision that's there for private sector employing. But Jim, before you did that, I wanted to have Mayor Grace just give a response to some of this.
Good morning, Mayor. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Cortez, Mr. Ennis, it's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. Just to kind of fill in a few blanks, perhaps, or give another elected official's perspective on what's been presented to you. It's as Mrs. Davis mentioned, that we are a big part of the industry, so to speak, of Lorain County, and any region is, and we are responsible for a great many programs, initiatives, and considerable sums of money, be it city government, township government, and of course county government. And looking over the slate of presenters that Ms. Davis has arranged over the next number of months, it's a who's who of public officials and other professionals in the region that have developed strong reputations in the various topics that they're presenting in these various seminars. So it's an opportunity to hear from very highly regarded, very successful individuals who have been right in the middle of many of these initiatives. Some of them, in fact, lecture across the country, some of these presenters. So as you go through this, as the brochures are distributed around the county, as Ms. Davis and as they've been distributed, I think people are going to be quite excited to see the slate of presentations and the opportunities available to them. I know, for speaking for the city of Elyria, and nearly all of these seminars, if not all of them, there will be someone from city government at these seminars. The topics that are covered in the broad range of subjects are going to be very meaningful to our organization. I would strongly encourage my colleagues in local government in Lorain County and those outside that we will all be made better by being more aware of these topics, not to mention how they affect our organizations, but how we can collaborate amongst ourselves, as was described, that there's more and more need with shrinking revenues and increasing responsibilities that we need to spread our limited resources as far as we can, and working together is a critical part of that. The Lorain County Growth Partnership, an initiative here of the commissioners, is partnering with the Public Service Institute, is a great partnership here to bring all of these entities together. So as one of the constituent governments in Lorain County, we are very excited about this offering. We're going to take as much advantage of this as we can and encourage our peers to do the same. And I thank you all for your role in bringing this to us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Nice suggestions. Let everybody be included.
The commissioners, as Shar indicated, we've been working on this for some months. I want to thank Mr. Twining. Also, we were able to gain some additional support from the college. PSI runs as a private profit center out at the college. Shar is always struggling with the ability to pay for things. And I think the college printed up the brochures and did the mailing for us. And that's outside of PSI, and normally they don't do that for you. So I think everybody's got a hand on the throttle here and trying to make this work. One of the most frustrating things about county facilities is that they're usually only used a few hours a day, and then they're closed. I've groused about this before, whether it be computer bandwidth, telephone service, computers on desktops, just the building in general. It deteriorates 24 hours a day, but we only generally use it about 8 hours a day. So these classes being offered in the evening here in the admin building does not cost us anything, and we're able to reduce the cost of the training by having a facility that you were very generous with last year in getting built here on the 4th floor. Some of this training will continue on the 4th floor, and some of it will move to the 5th floor when the outreach center is done. The only change here in the building is going to be that we'll have longer hours in the evening that there's training, and we did send some memos around to the various departments indicating that they need to review their security procedures, and they need to be responsible for locking their corridor doors when they leave at the end of the day. Right now, it's almost like everybody just abandons everything where it sits in this building and walk out at at 4:30. So we want them to lock their perimeter doors off the corridors and be responsible for their spaces so that we can use the common areas more fully in the evening. And I think you're going to see more and more of that because Children's Services has been doing evening training, and we usually keep the building locked and they stand at the back door and try to let people in. I think we need to get away from that kind of stupidity and have the building open later in the evening. So right now our current intentions are to keep the building open till about 6:30 by the front doors. That should get everybody in between 6:30 and 7, and then we'll lock down after that because they only need to exit, and they can exit through the panic bars without any problem. I also like to indicate that this program, this type of collaboration with the college, to the best of my knowledge, we're first again. I see Shara nodding in affirmation. So just another initiative that we're launching here with your cooperation and support that's going to set another trend. We're hopeful, and Shara have managed expectations. We have a couple reservations too, but we need to get a number of bodies into classrooms to make them productive and show an outcome, and hopefully some of our folks will take advantage of it too. But it's these kind of pioneering challenges that are going to set Lorain County ahead of everybody else and get the recognition that there is innovative leadership and there's the people here that are trying to make a change rather than just going with the status quo. And this is another great offering through your Lorain County Growth Partnership, and the information is already posted on the Lorain County Growth Partnership website as well as PSI's website. And I believe that you can do online enrollments. Did we get that worked out on the online enrollments?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Well, we are working on that? Okay. And Mayor Grace is here. So I understand that you are now staffing Team Tuesdays on the Growth Partnership Day. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So,
Come on up, Mayor. You look good on TV.
Yeah, the Team Tuesdays, we're very anxious. We're grateful for the opportunity here, the space that you all have assembled on the 5th floor to bring all the various government entities to have a presence. It's important that we, there's a great value in rubbing shoulders and passing in the hallways people that do similar work around the county. And there are times where one subdivision may cultivate a potential business opportunity, and at the end of the day may not be able to fulfill it, but maybe a neighboring community may be able to step in. So there's a great many opportunities, and we all recognize that not only as we as individual communities do well, it's important that our neighbors do well, because we will all benefit, if not directly, certainly indirectly. But I also, to underscore something, Mr. Cortez, you mentioned in terms of these facilities, this is an important investment in Lorain County that the Board of Commissioners made in this room and in part of this floor and then even the 5th floor, that you've created an opportunity for organizations and efforts like this to be able to offer these services. If a venture like this had to pay all of its expenses of meeting space as well as bringing the facilitators and materials, they may not happen. And when you have a facility like this that's very professional, not only professional looking, but everyone in the room can hear what's being said. The audiovisual material is state of the art, so everybody can see what's taking place. It reduces and eliminates frustration and makes meetings and people's times far more productive. So this is while some may view it as a glamorous facility, it is critical to helping convey information and all of us educate ourselves more effectively. So I commend you for your investment in our county.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Is there any other questions at all?
Oh, I didn't know Shar had something to continue
So
on. I
you-
thought she was coming back up to
Come
the
back up?
mic.
Just a couple of other things real quick. We are, again, trying to take this and expand it. One of the things that we've thought of once the renovations are done is that we could utilize distance learning so that we can reach more counties than the few that I described. I've already had conversations with our sister institution over at Lakeland Community College. There's a comparable institute to our Public Services Institute, fairly new, but they're very interested in us actually piping some of this programming here from the Lorain County Administration Building over to Lakeland so that we can reach Lake Geauga and Ashtabula County. So it really is, we're hoping, again, to take the leadership in this region, just like Jim said. The other one that we've talked with is the University of Akron. And they have a new Medina County University Center that's going up. They're breaking ground now on that. So they are very interested so that we can actually pipe some of this programming over to Medina. And again, that'll be, once we get all of that tweaked, like Jim said, we're learning as we go along. So, the broader for phase 1 and 2 is hopefully, or the vision is much stronger than that. And then, Jim, I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the private sector programming for the Outreach Center as well.
Thank you. Right now, we really haven't established a full slate of what's going to be offered for the private sector, but clearly we're going to be able to offer an opportunity not only for county employees, but for residents within Lorain County, but I'm assuming mostly in Elyria, to be able to take college courses right here at the admin building, and that'll happen in the evenings and during the day. And I'm really hopeful that if we get enough participation, that some of our employees will take advantage of that and maybe have a lunch hour college course or continue their degrees. And we haven't had a lot of penetration in that. So, the mountain is moving to Mohammed here. Even going across town, sometimes it takes 20 or 30 minutes to get across over to the campus and then park on the campus. So collaboratively, we're bringing the resources into the home, so to speak. There's always been distant learning at the college, and they're one of the leaders in distant learning. They have more people enrolled in distant learning, I think, than most colleges in the state of Ohio, and they actually have penetration outside the state. But sometimes people don't take advantage of that. And then with the computer labs, they're going to be set up upstairs in conjunction with the distant learning. We'll also be able to do some considerable training through the college on our employees. We've been really needing computer training for a number of years, but taking so many people off-site or trying to establish a resource here, a temporary one, is always very difficult. I don't want to say too much about it because that's going to be another big presentation in the coming months, as we unfold things for you. But your leadership is setting the tempo in Northeast Ohio. I know sometimes we don't get enough recognition for that, but these are all new and innovative programs, and nobody else is doing this. And but I just want to say, like Shar said, we got to manage expectations. Sometimes when you run out in front of the pack, you get winded pretty easily. So we'll do the best we can for you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Jim. Nice to have you back, Shar, from Voices and Choices. This is going to be a ongoing program, so as Jim said and you've said, to get it built up, I think it's going to take some time. The partnership's been up and operating for, 7 or 8 months, actually officially now.
Yes, Commissioner.
And it's picking up steam. We hear about it when we're out in other communities, actually as far south as Franklin County when I was in Columbus. So doing a very nice job. Nice to make you another spoke in the wheel.
Well, does Jim have anything else?
Well, I have one or two
Without
things.
it, no.
And again, to reiterate, welcome to the city of Elyria. I also believe, Mr. Twining, that the city of Lorain has joined for Team Tuesdays.
Almost, maybe.
It appears they are. They're showing up, but they have to get official authorization from the mayor's office. That has not come yet.
We'll
Okay.
get it from at lunch today at State of the City.
Okay.
As you said, Commissioner, we've been up and running for about 6 to 7 months, and as I indicated, even 6 months ago, it would take another 2 years. We're building this house a block at a time, but we're building a strong collaborative effort and a strong house. And over the next several months, we'll continue to put more blocks together, and welcoming Elyria and hopefully officially Lorain, because I know they've been here, just adds another tremendous amount of resources on Tuesday mornings. and we're working very hard to make those mornings productive. And maybe one day it'll turn into team Tuesday morning and Thursday morning, and who knows where it could go from then. From there, we're being very, very circumspect and taking our time building these collaborations so that we build them strong enough that they have lasting outcomes. We're going to continue to report to you about this because it's going to be a slow progress, and we want to continue to show you that your support and your desire to do this was well placed. So that's all I have to say about that. But I do want to tell you that we met with representatives from Congresswoman Sutton's office yesterday, Commissioner Blair and I, on the train station and I should say transportation center, and also on commuter rail. And we talked with them for about an hour. I don't know if Betty wants to report on that during her report, but no. It appears that we will probably be taking the lead on the commuter rail issue and making the request of the various legislative offices for commuter rail. Right now, what I'm preparing on behalf of the board and at the specific request of Commissioner Blair is about a $1.5 million request for more planning. And Mr. Twining is also working on that, and he may have a few words he wants to say about that.
Ten words or less. We're working with Karen Davis. Karen Davis will be working with Representative Betty Sutton's office, making the application on behalf of Lorain County. We were advised at yesterday's meeting that it would help if we found another one or two U.S. representatives that would support that project as well. Our office is working with the mayor of Vermillion to do an application on behalf of the Erie County people to Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur's office. So there will be at least those two. The deadline, unfortunately, is Wednesday, and it has to be in their D.C. office on Wednesday. That means we need to overnight by Monday night in order to get it, so it only gives us a couple of days. We may not be able to secure any other reps for this project at this point, but we are requesting about $1.5 million for that project.
And we may have to make a consolidated request too. We're still waiting on that. If we have to pick up the southern end of the whole project, that request may go to $2.5 million. Right now, we're putting in for an earmark. There's a lot of problems with the earmarks as far as 2007 is going. As you know, Congress is revamping the whole earmark process. But we have to do the ask. And then we're going to have to figure out how to match that and where to bring the revenue from to provide the 20% match to this process. But if we don't get into the revenue stream and we start worrying about that now, we're not going to be able to access any funding. So we're going to have that out, and I know the Erie County piece was going to be difficult, but we still will send to Marcy Kaptur regardless, and try to gain support there. And we're going to send it to Kucinich's office, and whether we get further on, I really don't know. But we will be Lorain County will be taking the lead on the commuter rail issue, and trying to provide that leadership, and we're well positioned and well placed, and we're more than able to do that. But it's just another big project that we're going to take on, because right now there doesn't seem to be anybody in the region. While there's a lot of people supporting, nobody's stepping forward and taking the real lead. And Commissioner Blair's been out there by herself for a long period of time, and she doesn't like that environment.
Commissioner, if I could add one thing, for the public's understanding, commuter rail has a lot of benefits, but one of the problems that we are faced with here in northern Ohio, it's not just Lorain County, is the air quality attainment requirements from EPA. We have been straddled, so to speak, with several employment opportunities where we'd like to bring companies in, and we've done very well with various applications, but this air attainment issue tends to shoot this down. Something like commuter rail could in fact not only remove the congestion from the interstate system going between northern Ohio, certainly Lorain County and Cleveland, but commuter rail would also take away some of the air hazard, as some of us drive single cars with one occupant could pick up the commuter rail and drive in. There's new technology all the time that would allow us to be productive, which I'm sure my county administrator would like to see. Rather than that half-hour trip to Cleveland, we could actually take laptops and do work or things like that on that round trip. So there are a lot of benefits, so I just think that it's important to point that out for the public as well.
I also received some disturbing news yesterday about our earmarks for the transportation center. I'm waiting on some additional information out of Congresswoman Sutton's office. I'm hoping, I'm actually even saying a prayer that our earmarks haven't been touched for 7, 8, and 9. We were having a problem finding the funding for 7 and the appropriation process, and they're looking for us now. Our earmarks may not be earmarks anymore, and that's going to be very difficult when it comes to the transportation center. So we're giving them information to reapply for additional earmarks or funding for the transportation center, but we have $2.2 million sitting in 7, 8, and 9 earmarks that are crucial to finishing up anything productive on the transportation center. I don't have complete information, but I just want to share that with you, that with everything that's going on down there right now, there could be some difficulty with that also. And we now have planes and trains and automobiles. Please don't buy any boats. Thank you.
Mr. Ennis?
I have no report.
Commissioners report.
Well, this week has been talking about the sales tax increase, and one of my thoughts on the matter was I would like to take $2 million of the $7.3 million that we would generate and try to give it back to those who need it most. My idea was for those people on Homestead. I finally got my report from Mark Stewart this morning. Income levels from 0 to 13,000. There's 2,315 people. $13,000 to $19,000 a year. There's 1,271 people getting Homestead. Income levels 19,200 to 25,400. There's 719 people on Homestead. So that's a grand total of $4,305. If we were to take $2 million and divide it equally, it would be about $465 per person. When I originally spoke to, Jerry Ennis about this issue, he said we can't change the Homestead, but he was supposed to check for me, and I thought you might have a report, whether we could just send these people a check at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, to help them out, send them information about things such as Leon Mason coming here the other day and saying the different types of taxes that people are not getting back, and that there's free tax service and just different things that the elderly and this type of income levels could benefit from. So, Jerry, can we, you know what I want to accomplish, how can we make this happen?
Well, I'm researching as I've also already indicated to you, we cannot change the Homestead formula that is set by statute. I'm looking into if there's any possibility of, in effect, abating or refunding tax collections. I don't have that answer yet. Certainly we are able to give information to seniors regarding anything they can do to...
No, I was thinking about sending, when we send them the check, we could also have an insert in there with information.
I've not yet found anything that enables us to selectively reduce or abate the taxes for like seniors, but we are researching that.
Okay. That's going to make it's a big determination how I'm going to vote on that tax as to whether we can do that, and I guess I should ask my fellow commissioners if they would be interested in doing something like that with this tax. No? Yes? Maybe?
No.
No?
Not at this point, not because it's just targeting those 4,500, and it sounds like the President Bush's idea of sending $300 back to everyone when the effect is only $15 to $20 a year on those based income people. to send them $450 doesn't, I mean, that's what you presented it to me just now, it sounded like that, to send them $450 when their overall cost difference is only $15 to $20 a year.
I'm just looking, I know there's a lot of these older people who are their houses are paid for, but they're taking out reverse mortgages just to pay their taxes, and especially with this new tax valuation, I know a lot of those property taxes have gone up quite substantially. They're just looking to at least give something back. Maybe it should be an across the board. Maybe this is too much for one segment of the people, I don't know, but I'd like to do something, not just tax and not give anything back. The other issue with the taxes, not only was it printed in the paper, but also I got some phone calls about the fact that the meetings that we held yesterday and the other one that's Monday is at 9:30 in the morning, and a lot of people work and can't make it to the meetings. I was wondering if my other fellow commissioners would be willing to have a meeting in the evening, either on Tuesday or Wednesday, so more of the public can come and give their opinion and actually get educated on why we need this tax so desperately.
What is our advertising time and per statute? And
Well,
I'm sure there's a lot of
Well, I
things
think
involved.
we're
so I
only
remember our dates
we're only
we put together
required to
here.
have 2 meetings. This
Correct.
would be an extra meeting.
Correct.
So I don't think there would be any, unless I'm wrong, Jerry.
I always ask for.
No,
a
you'd have
procedure.
to, we'd have to have the hearings that we have advertised. We can have all the additional meetings that we want.
How does that change the timeline from the March 1st decision? Is there a date after?
It
you
doesn't
go
change,
next?
it doesn't
Okay, I
change any,
didn't know our-
as long as you meet the statutory requirement of having the meeting Monday morning at 9:30, anything you do in between the date of decision and that meeting is strictly up to you on a voluntary basis. So it doesn't change any timelines whatsoever. I would suggest that you're probably not holding a public meeting, you would be having a forum. This way we don't get convoluted with anybody looking at the timeliness or anything. I would call them just a forum.
Have you spoke to the other elected officials about their staffs and everything to present to the public?
No, I just thought of it this morning.
Okay.
Well,
I'm the paperwork guy. I just go through the paperwork. so,
I would like to at least they can, voice their opinion. We can educate them. The papers, I didn't read both of them. I read them online this morning. There wasn't a whole lot of information in there about why this tax is needed, and I think that people need to be educated about that.
And did we by any chance get from the college the times they will be airing that public meeting by any chance, as we did tape it?
We have it taped. I have to find out if we can get it edited and get it on.
Right, that's why I knew that was a concern.
And once I know the length and so forth, I'm going to try to have them air it. But that's going to take a little bit of time. A lot of that programming is already in queue
Right, they've already got
several
things scheduled,
days
correct.
before, but we'll try to get it out there. I'm going to, if it's not too long in our meeting, maybe I'll cut some of it onto the end of our meeting, but I thought it was quite lengthy, so we're going to have to find some additional slots. I'm working on it.
You can supplant it for the regular meeting, or the regular meeting is shown twice. You can put the sales tax in on once and the regular meeting on once. There's a couple of different ways you could do it.
I understand, Commissioner.
Do I need to make a motion to see if my fellow commissioners would
Well,
be
before
willing
you
to
make
do
a
an
motion,
educational forum?
I talked to the newspaper yesterday, and I said there are other ways that people can communicate with us to let us know what their opinions might be besides speaking at this meeting. They can phone, they can send us fax, email, phone call. I said that. But there are other means of communication besides actually showing up in person. Time is short if you want to have an evening meeting.
I was thinking Tuesday, the 27th at whatever time, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Well, you've got, I know Transit has a public hearing that night here at 7 o'clock.
Here in this room?
No, I think it's in the,
It
you're
was canceled?
canceling it?
Yeah, we're going to have to cancel all those based on new timeline.
Hey,
Tuesday's open now.
Hang on, I'm looking at my appointments. Tuesday's open. I don't have a problem doing that. I like talking to the public.
December. Ma'am, what time are you looking at?
6, 7.
Well, we have to have staff here and everything else, so how are we going to orchestrate that, Mr. Clerk?
I'm not particularly too worried about the staff.
Okay, the other elected officials.
That's something I don't have any control over. So I can make your position known on the evening forum, but I can't guarantee you that you'll have the same group of presenters or representatives here. I'm sure Draws will be here.
Yeah, he's shaking his head, yes.
But I will try to coordinate that for you. Our staff are no problem, and we really don't need too many staffers here. We're not opening a public meeting and only having...
Right, okay, we're making this a forum. I've never been through one of those. You'll have to coach me.
Well, yeah, we'll probably direct it like a regular meeting. We just won't open a meeting. It won't be I'll have to talk to Mr. Anderson, because there's certain, as Madam Clerk knows, there's certain things we have to do to have a public meeting. So she and Jerry and we'll reconnoiter after the meeting and just see what we have to do. But we'll get it done for you, one way or another. We'll get it done, if that's what desire.
Commissioner Blair, it's okay with me. Wonderful.
What-
6?
What time are we looking at?
6.
Oh, I'll come.
Tuesday at 6.
Oh, that's the end of my report.
Long report this time, Commissioner.
Not that long.
The National Resource Assistance Council is going to meet Friday at French Creek Nature Center at the request of, help me out, Ron.
He wasn't listening to you,
Oh,
Commissioner.
I'm sorry, at the request of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, which received a grant award because they had to comply by March 1st, and they're not able to, so they've asked for an extension. So we're meeting to consider their request for an extension. Secondly, while Jim commented about commuter rail and that I was kind of standing alone, that's really not the case. There's been a large swell of interest on commuter rail in the Cuyahoga County area. City of Cleveland has passed a resolution in support, Cleveland City Council, and there's been several meetings held both at Lakewood and at Westlake. And on this Friday at 1 o'clock, we're meeting in the NOACA board meeting rooms to consider again commuter rail. It's titled the West Shore Stakeholders Meeting, and it's open to the public. Excuse me, the public at 1 o'clock. Anyone who's interested is invited to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. No report this week. We've talked about sales tax. So. Teresa?
Well, just to remind everybody that Monday at 9:30 will be the second public hearing for the sales tax. Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Public comment?
Ken's back.
I'm going to jog up here this time. February 15th, I wrote the commissioners a letter explaining the circumstances surrounding the north-south corridor with Transportation Improvement District that approved this some time ago and placed the project in their budget. I have a contract for Phase 1, and I recommend approval of this contract. We have it signed by the engineering firm. We have it approved by the prosecutor's office. I was wondering if there's any opportunity for you to approve this contract today. I have the monies available through an old Q account, our old bond from the Colorado Avenue. It was so efficient, we have $54,000 left. And the way the TID reimbursement program is that we utilize that money, and then I'll be reimbursed as we bill. So there's not to exceed that amount. I feel I can bill every $20,000 and get that reimbursed within 30 to 50 days.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, and I've actually been the one that's had trying to figure this out with Ken. It's been on my desk for a while, and he didn't say that, so thank you. I would not use the bond money, though. That's going to get too convoluted in the tracking process. We need an advance from the general fund, and then we can get paid back. I appreciate what you're doing with the money there, but that's that road construction money bonding program that we did, right? Is that the same funding?
That's correct. That's the old Q highway note account that I have.
Is that outside of what we're doing with the cooperative agreement?
No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, I just, Lisa, I think, wouldn't it be complicated? Excuse me? Yeah, I would do an advance. That's where I'm going. I should have dealt with this back in, at least in December, but with all the problems with the budget and stuff, I just didn't do it. So I think we need to do an advance over to Mr. Carney on that, and then when we get the TID money, we'll get our advance paid back at that point and get this ball rolling.
I'd like to start the phases on that, please. Yes.
You'll be totally reimbursed 100% of your costs.
You explained that to me a few months ago, and I knew you guys were working out the finances of it, so.
I had the contract with me. You mentioned the State of the City address in Lorain. I'll be represented, but I have another appointment, and I thought to be an opportune time to mention to the mayor that we have a contract approved with North-South Corridor Phase 1. Benefit Lorain tremendously.
You can approve that right now by resolution, and you can also do that in the same resolution if you approve in advance. We'll take care of getting the paperwork done on that. You have the figures, Ken?
Yes, it's in the contract.
Can we have those, or just a resolution approving?
Approving the contract, Phase 1, 2, and 3.
And authorizing in advance to fund the contract.
You have that, Teresa?
How much is the amount?
Yeah, we don't have the amount. 54,000, you said?
I was going to utilize the existing 54,000 in my account, but the first Phase 1 in this particular item is 80,660.
You have that, Teresa?
80,660? 80,660?
That's Phase 1, yeah, that's correct.
And let it, in the resolution, the advance should come from general fund unappropriated. We have enough in unappropriated, I believe. This way we don't have a problem with source account and no question downstairs.
I'll move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carney, for working on that.
Oh, my pleasure. That's what we do.
I think that spurs a lot of
here
economic
to-
development once we get the other counties on board. We've all had casual discussions, but I think getting 71 traffic to Route 6 is very important for Lorain County's growth.
Well, you see, they're opening up Crocker Road down to 480.
Correct.
And while that's a good thing, it's going to divert a lot of traffic away from us. And I generally don't head that way because I don't like getting on 57, then getting on the Turnpike, then getting on 480, and it's a bit of a hassle. But now if you can go down 90 Route 2 and just hit the Crocker Exchange and shoot down the 480, it'll improve traffic, but it's not our complete
All those
best
Lorain
interest.
County people shopping in Cuyahoga County at 7.5% sales tax.
Yeah. And thank you, Commissioner Kalo. More importantly, I'd like to reiterate that this will be reimbursed 100% from the state-funded Transportation Improvement District.
You also made application for additional funding for the TID. Were we successful at that? I haven't had a chance to discuss that, which I know you did ask for another round of TID funding, right?
We have asked for the third round, and we haven't received a commitment, but this particular money is safe, sound, and ready to spend.
Right, you did that last year or the year before at the end.
And they do give you a year of cushion after the ending of the second round, which we haven't even approached at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Elizabeth Romix Oberlin. I am just interested, is there a route for this north-south corridor in mind already?
Somewhere west of Route 58 is my idea. No, they have to do the studies, alternate routes, a need to build, a no build. Give me all my rules, Ron. They were very careful with that.
Well, you just simply can't predetermine. I know that you have a desire, but you can. If we go out and say exactly where we think it should be, then they won't give us any money for planning. So at this point, we have to reserve more further discussion on
There's
that
14
issue.
steps in the process. These cover the first 7, correct? Correct, Ken?
Yes.
To see if there is a need for it.
And you have to
Start
study
pub-
at least 4 alternatives at least, and narrow those down to 2 with a cost estimate.
Right, Route 58 could be horseshoes around every city, possibly, as a
Well-
scenario. So, I mean, no, it has to go through the whole study process and the need for it and traffic flows. And I'm sure, whose model, would we use the NOACA 2030 model for that, since that's outside of the MPO? Coming in 71 at Mansfield/Ashland, whose models do we use for traffic?
NOACA's model is available.
Okay, yeah, but that just covers our 5-county area? What would cover south?
South,
Mansfield?
they're not in a
No MPO in
planning
Richland?
area because it's rural, but
Okay.
we'll probably use the NOACA modeling down into the Ashland-Richland County area as well.
Okay, all right.
Oberlin, of course, is very interested in where that route would be, both for positive and for negative aspects, perhaps. Is this is there some information about this which has been going out and I haven't happened to see it? Or will there be some ongoing reports as appropriate?
Well, starting now with the phases, we were figuring out how it was going to be paid for. That's what we were working on. Once we get forward with the phases and the engineering start, then we'll have updates on it. I've been working on it since I've been in office, and it's been a long process when you're talking about a, cross-jurisdictional countywide, trying to bring a major highway in. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's just been a lot of discussions. I've talked to the other county commissioners. Marilyn Byers is no longer in Ashland, though she's retired now, and that's a commissioner I've been working with, so we've started new discussions.
Then another question. In connection with some of these seminars and so forth, it says public sector. Could private individuals attend them?
I'm sure Shar will
Absolutely.
take your check.
Thank you, because some sound as if a lot of our various and sundry people could use them.
Well, we would encourage anybody to come. We definitely need to get some additional bodies into the room. It would be a shame that we couldn't continue after the first few months because we weren't able to get enough participation. So we really need help with participation early on, and then to demonstrate that there is a growing need. So we would appreciate any participation. Thanks.
I'm generally here for different purposes, but I would like to comment about the Public Sector Training and Development Institute. Some years ago, I believe it may have been the Public Service Institute, and Shara Davis did a study of Lorain County. And among the findings about the community and the economic situation, the way the government works, and the various institutions in the counties, one of the findings was that there was that the leadership of the county needed to be improved, and that was one of the things that was holding the county back developmentally. I'm really so pleased to see that the Public Service Institute, Lorain County Community College, and your leadership is bringing about this kind of a program that can really show the public that we are interested in improving the level of service in the county, improving the level of leadership, and improving the life of the citizens of Lorain County.
Thank you.
Thanks. Dee. Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session for the purposes outlined by the administrator.
I will second that.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.